Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about nights 11 and 12 of the G1, the last double feature 8-match nights. Thank God, it's been a little rough throughout these last couple nights, but without wasting any time, we're just going to jump into night 11. I can't even lie, I'm kind of scared. We had a full night of mid yesterday, and we're starting off with more mid. Hikuleo is just so fine it hurts, and he does everything right, but he's just such a bore. I was hoping that Hikuleo would build off that really good match with Yoda but he just kind of did his usual thing, which sucks because I think a guy like Kaito can really give him a good match, and he tried his best here. I mean, he was doing the standard thing where you do against a guy Hikuleo's size, and he was trying to chop him down at the knees. He would always get like a hit with a big move, and he'd fall over again. Maybe that would be a sell from his brawl with Gabe. I would have liked if they mentioned that more, but it wasn't very clear. They didn't really talk about it much, but that would have been a cool feature, made it a little bit more interesting of a match. Even though Kevin Kelly didn't mention that on commentary, he did have a great line where he mentioned that New Japan won't get their deposit back on Kaito if he gets dropped on the guardrail, and that cracked me up. But yeah, this match just moved at a snail's pace, and the crowd began to really save the day, because if they were like some of those early nights of the G1, this would have been so over. I'm only going to mention one more thing about this match. I don't know why Kaito lost. I mean, I do. I know it's to make the A-Box second place race more interesting, but come on now. Kaito definitely should have won this match. I know New Japan likes Hikuleo a lot, and he has his moments where I think he's like alright, but Kaito is just so much better, and he definitely should have gotten the win, but aside from all that, this was pretty underwhelming. Yoshihashi versus Great-O-Khan. When you get two guys that are just so reliable, especially in the G1, of course you're going to have a match like this. I honestly should have expected it. These two were working tonight. Some quality Great-O-Khan technical stuff and some impressive striking from Yoshi, which are both just standard stuff for those guys. They're always consistently very good at that. And I really enjoyed how Yoshi sold Okan choking him out with those gurgles. It really sounded awful, but like in the best way. They built the drama of this match super well, where they just had Okan beat Yoshi's ass the whole like first half of the match. And that really worked well to sell over those great near falls towards the end, and those just had a little bit of extra kick on them because you genuinely were not sure who was going to win. And it was a great way to get the crowd into it. They were actually pretty loud towards the end, and yeah, these guys just put in solid work. I enjoyed this. Chase Owens versus Ren Narita. I really don't have a lot to say about this match. It never had any heat, and it never found any either. It's Chase Owens at the end of the day, and Ren Narita still doesn't have that thing to make him seem like a big deal yet. And when you have two guys like that, you get like a technically proficient match, but something is just so boring about it, and yeah, not good. El Phantasmo is such a unique guy in this G1. No one's doing the high-flying stuff like he is, and no one's doing the crowd work that he is either. Him attempting to sing on Taichi's mic, him saying what's up to the fans in the crowd before and after the match, and just being a generally playful guy, just having fun with it. It always gets the crowd into it, and it always gets me into it because I just love it a lot. There was a group of Taichi fans in one of the first rows that were going absolutely insane, which was cool because I don't think I've seen people be that enthusiastic throughout this G1 for one guy. But in this match, their guy that they were supporting, Taichi, he worked well as a fellow babyface who was just open to having fun with ELP. For example, when Taichi almost immediately won the kick exchange from the start, he just decided to let go and just give ELP a little chop fest because he knew that he had the advantage in the kicking, so might as well give him a little shot. The closing stretch of the match was also very good. They did the Taichi style roll-ups, they traded them, and the crowd bit both times, and I think both of those times that they bit served to make the last one even better because, they all thought he'd kick out, and then ELP just scored one. And it actually worked, but yeah, this match was very good. I'm really excited to see ELP versus Ospreay. I think that match is going to bang, but like I said, this was very good. Sonata versus Gabe Kidd. This is a Gabe Kidd match, so you know that I'm going to have a lot to say. This was Gabe Kidd's first entrance in forever, and he immediately went to destroying the furniture and flipping off the fans and just being all kinds of an asshole. And then Sonata made his entrance, he did his thing, and then he turned his back to Gabe to hold up the belt, which was such a dumb mistake. It made him look so stupid to me because everyone should know that Gabe is going to attack you. It's not that serious, but it just made him look so silly. He threw Sonata into the guardrail and then hit him with a shot in the head with a chair, just like he did during the Kaido match. And I love how it set up both matches, but I really loved how it set up this one because it forced Sonata to work the underdog who was just fighting from behind. But you could tell during the match he wanted so badly to teach this young guy a lesson, and I love that dynamic a lot. Gabe took this even further out into the crowd, yelling at people to move and screaming in like one woman's face, which seemed particularly heelish to me. Like that was so mean. But he threw Sonata into the chairs, and like we've said, Gabe Kid hates chairs and hates furniture and when people sit on them, so you always got to be aware whenever Gabe Kid's around. However, there was a moment where the champ's head just flipped and he realized, like, I'm not about to get bitched by a young guy, and he spiked Gabe onto the floor and threw him as hard as he could into the guardrail. I love how Gabe brings up the fire in all his opponents, and he always gets them worked up no matter who it is. The countout spot towards the end of the match was awesome because I knew that Sonata wasn't getting counted out, but even I bit just because they got it so close. Like, Sonata went over the guardrail and then barely made it back to the ring. Like, I was biting on that. Even though I knew it wasn't going to happen, it still got me, and I love that. Gabe is such a killer, and I always have to mention that middle rope hanging spot that he does where he just puts his opponent in the headlock and just lets him go. That is one of the most badass things I've seen in wrestling, and it gets me going every single time. I love it so much. Sonata might not lose any of his matches, but he's making all of his opponents look so good, and that was no different here. I think at the end of this G1, I'm actually going to call Gabe Kid my G1 MVP. I'm not sure on that, but he's just on a whole nother level, and Sonata has really turned it up and has shown people why he's the champ. This match as a whole was absolutely dope. Tongaloa versus Will Ospreay. Ospreay was rocking this old school hairstyle, which was kind of a visual shocker, but we started this match kind of slow, and I thought Tonga setting Will down slowly on the apron, just so soft, while also not letting him get in, was pretty damn funny. I thought that was just another moment where, Tonga really shows that personality he has, which I think might be one of his best strengths. But Will was taking some big time bumps in this match, and that's one thing he's always going to do for you, and it makes all of his matches so much better. Tonga looked pretty slow in this one. He was overall pretty good, but he looks kind of slow every match. But when you're put up against someone like Will and how fast he can look at times, it is super jarring, and it was really noticeable this time around. We're going to speed through some of that stuff during the match to get to the finish. And I'll start by saying I'm not a fan of it because why the fuck are we having Will Ospreay lose after beating Kazuchika Okada? Like, what are we thinking with that? I get it's to make stuff in the playoffs work a little better. I think that's what it is. But having him lose against Tongaloa, like, what are we doing, man? So Tongaloa eventually won with a countout, and I did think the setup to get to the countout was cool. Will just threw himself like 5 rows deep into the crowd and took a spear that looked equally slow and cool. Like, I don't know how that happened, but it was like both. And then when he almost got to the ring, Tonga hit him with another spear to kind of steal the win. And while I think that's fine on its own, it's not fine when you talk about, like, that's how you beat Will Ospreay. The result left me feeling all kinds of confused. I wasn't confused about the match because I thought it was above average. Will can make anyone look good, and Tongaloa was just asked to do the bare minimum, and he kind of stepped it a little bit above that and put in a bit more effort. But the finish and the result is just so shocking to me. I don't even know, like, why that was thought of and went through with as a good idea. It's not. It's a bad idea. It's very bad. What was absolutely not bad was Shota Umino versus Yota Tsuji. This match was so good, and as soon as the match started, they got right into it, but kind of immediately slowed it down, and that was the stretch I didn't really like. I wasn't really feeling it. I felt both guys were just kind of burning time to get to the real shit later on. Like, it was still good, but it just kind of did feel like we were burning time. When that 15-minute call came out, these guys showed out. That's when they went insane. The last 4 minutes of the match were absolutely nuts. The exchange after the call was just so dope. It was just two young rivals battling it out, going shot for shot just to see who was better. And those are the kind of moments I love from these young guy matches because they always just get me so amped. These two guys were going reversal for reversal, just countering everything the opponent threw at them throughout those last 4 minutes or so. The crowd also got the loudest that I've heard them all night, which is so cool because this is a future Wrestle Kingdom main event. Like, I've seen it throughout this entire G1. All these young guys like Shota, Yota, Gabe, Kaido, and even Ren sometimes, they all have it. Like, they're all incredible, and this was incredible. That double stomp to counter the spear, which took just incredible timing, the incredible body language and facial expressions that both guys were showing out. Yoda finally being able to outspeed Shota to get the win. This was just so fun to watch, and like I've said throughout this entire G1, these young guys are the most fun, and do not be surprised when in my G1 recap I'm talking about them a lot because they are the future, and matches like this show that every single time. Kazuchika Okada versus Kenta, and I'm so sorry guys, but this was not it. I only have two things to say. One, I really enjoyed how when Kenta was hearing the crowd chant his name, he had a sly little smile. That was pretty cool. And number two, the last few minutes of this match saved it from being an absolute disaster class of just atomic proportions. So much silly Kenta shit, like him not getting in the ring or him cheating with the kendo stick, and it was just so bland. And every time I heard one of those calls, like the 5 minute, 10 minute, 15 minute, I legit wrote down in my notes 5 minutes felt like an eternity, 10 minutes felt like an eternity, 15, like it was just the same thing over and over for me. Every 5 minutes just felt like they were the longest 5 minutes of my life. This match was just sad. Like, I love Okada, and I thought he could have got a better match out of Kenta, but Kenta was just so slow. He looked so sad when he was moving. They were moving just snail's pace shit, and like barely running around. This match shouldn't have gone past 10 minutes, and it was just not a great way to end the night. Night 11 as a whole was actually pretty fun to watch. I didn't feel myself getting as bored as I was in Night 10. Like, there were some stinkers, but that's just going to happen when there's 8 matches on a card. There's going to be at least a couple who I'm just not that interested in myself. But yeah, this was pretty fun to watch, and I'm really excited to see how Night 12 stacks up, so let's just go ahead and get into it. And we're live for Night 12. We're just going to jump right into it with Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Alex Coughlin. I thought this was a great way to open the show. It was a much shorter match, which I thought worked really well for what Tana can do, because as we've seen in this G1, the longer matches go, the worse off he looks, but this was a dope-ass upset. Alex Coughlin is an absolute freak. His physique is off the charts, and for some reason that really stood out in this match. I love the story of him just being too strong and powerful for Tana, who went for the cradle at the end of the match, but Coughlin just dropped his hips and then picked him back up for the jackhammer to win the match. And that's such a huge win for Alex, like so early in his career. This match really worked for me. Coughlin was working a different style that showed a lot more respect for Tana and what he can do at this point in his career. Even though he did pull those chunks down on the Death Valley bomb to show a little bit of Tanahashi ass, he definitely like showed a lot of respect to him and, you know, his mobility issues. This was a lot of fun, and the surprise winner just made it so much better, especially because I'm an Alex Coughlin fan. Evil versus Mikey Nichols. I want to take this time to respond to a comment on the last video where someone asked why I hated Evil so much. I don't hate Evil that much. I think he's just a fine wrestler, but I really hate the cheating stuff, and I don't like it in any promotion. You do it anywhere, I'm not going to enjoy it. But I always have a lot of respect for him as a performer. I think he's like fine for what he does. I get that's his gimmick. I'm just not a big fan of it, so that's why I have the tendency to dog on him a little bit. But this match was pretty good. Mikey Nichols has been great this G1, and Evil kind of looked like he had a pep in his step during this match. He did the cheating stuff again this match. You know, he's always going to, I get it. But that actually worked really well to put over Kosei Fujita, who got a huge pop whenever he threw out Dick Togo, and it really made Mikey's win hit harder for the live crowd and even for me at home. I also want to mention how Evil threw his opponent into the guardrail right in front of Makoto Abe, again causing him to fall over, and he looked like he hit his head on the guardrail. Why does Evil want to like hurt Makoto Abe? What did he do to you, man? That's truly evil. That's evil shit. The finish to this match was pretty good, even though it was like a little bit awkward. Mikey pulled out the Zack Sabre roll-up to catch Evil off guard. This was just a standard Evil match, but Mikey, and especially the crowd, made it a lot more fun to watch, so I enjoyed myself. Shane Haste versus Toru Yano. For a Yano match, this is probably one of the best I've seen. The comedy spots were funny, especially when Shane sent Fujita under the ring instead of himself, and then came out with a bucket on his head, which I can't even lie, I laughed at that, you know. Shane Haste did a really good job of just playing along. It went for a reasonable amount of time. It didn't overstay its welcome. The crowd was popping, and I had fun watching, so what more can you really ask? Tomohiro Ishii versus Hanare. As all Ishii matches go, this was a hard-hitting heater of a match that started right from the jump when they just started shoulder blocking each other as hard as they could. There were some great sequences throughout this match. Hanare especially, as one thing I noticed, his knees always look so tough. Those are so hard hitting. I love those a lot. It's a great part of his game. One part of his game though I didn't like was when he had Ishii in a choke and then he just kind of let go. That happened before in this G1, and I remember not liking it then, but I just really don't like it. It always makes the wrestlers look so dumb to me, and they gotta stop doing that. That's not good. I know you want to finish him off with one big blow after wear him down with a submission, but just stay on. That man was passing out. It was over. I did not like that, and I just really wanted to point it out because it just looks so dumb to me. Ishii is just always going to give you that 4-star beast ass match, and this was no different. I'm really happy that Harari got the win though, because I think he's going to need these kind of wins when he goes on a run after this G1, because he honestly deserves it. He's been very good, and I think he needs to be rewarded with some big matches coming up. But this was a very fun match to watch. I enjoyed it a lot. Jeff Cobb versus Hiroki Goto. This match was built on the idea that Goto had a nasty rib injury, and Cobb is still riding a wave of confidence, even after he lost to Yano. So he's showboating and playing with the crowd, but Goto's fighting spirit shines through, and he's able to pull off a surprise win, all of which I thought was very good. However, I don't think the end sequence was very good. I thought it should have included some more hard-hitting offense, just show that Cobb is a really tough guy to put down. Just kind of give him a couple kickouts till he finally gets that 3. I think that would have done a better job of selling the story of the match. Something Goto has been great at this G1 is his facial expressions and his body language. They were very noticeable during this match because they just added so much to the story. Like, you could just tell all the pain and all the desperation to get the win. They were all on his face throughout this match. It made the match better as a whole, to be honest. Cobb has shown so much in his last few matches. He just has some great personality, and he's finally letting it loose this G1. I thought he was kind of holding back throughout his first couple matches, but he's finally letting it loose. Him stepping on Goto and then noticing it after and being like, oh, he's right there. I thought that was super funny, and it was just, he has a simply beast-ass offense that just makes me enjoy his stuff so much more. This was some good stuff, and I'm excited to see where Cobb goes after this. Like, I'm curious if he kind of transitions into, a very serious killer. He's not going to do any jokes. He's going to focus and win. Or if he's going to continue to be a bit cocky and arrogant and just think that he's better than you. It should be a fun watch for the remainder of the G1. This match was awesome. Tama Tonga versus Eddie Kingston. There's honestly not much to say except that this was a very decent match. They both did their thing in the ring. It was kind of focused on Eddie shutting down Tama so he didn't get that, quick-ass offense going. And I thought that worked really well as a solid structure. This match didn't really have much fire, and it felt kind of by the numbers, but it was also very enjoyable, and I'm really happy to see Eddie get the win as always. Tetsuya Naito versus Zack Sabre Jr. I personally haven't seen any of their other matches, but just from this match alone, you could see the chemistry that they both have. They're just a couple little assholes who just try their best to get the better of one another through like any means possible, and in this match it worked so well. Early on, Naito began the neck work when he delivered a huge, hard-hitting ass neck breaker on the floor that actually sounded like it broke Zack's neck, which was super intense. And then Zack kind of countered that by working Naito's arm. That I thought was very interesting just because he's super creative with all his offense that I just love the stuff he pulls out. Like every time, you see in every wrestling match, they're always working over a body part. There's no one better at working over a body part than Zack Sabre Jr. He just always has something creative in mind to make it look like he's really putting the hurt on his opponent. They were just moving quick and clean here. That end sequence where they kept countering into drivers of their own names, the Destino was countered and hit a couple of times, and then the swinging DDT into a cradle to get the win, that was super creative, and this match was just full of life that just made it so much better. It added so much to the match as a whole. Speaking of full of life, Naito was full of life in this match. He looked great, especially when he got in those desperate moments where he knew that he had to get the win, and he honestly needed a match like this where the crowd was fully behind him and he was putting on a great match, because I haven't really been excited for a deep playoff run from him, but this kind of made me rethink that a little bit. ZSJ is just so talented, and Naito still has one of these in him. I really hope that he continues to show these as the G1 goes on. He only a couple matches left, but I hope I continue to see this from him. I had a lot of fun with this match, and I thought it was match of the night pretty easily. Shingo Takagi versus David Finlay. I was hoping for a knock it out of the park, proving himself performance out of Finlay. Against the Shingo Takagi, who's been on his game this G1, but he just kind of gave us a pretty good match, and I just still don't see it. He's a sneaky little prick heel, and he's good at it, but it feels like Alex Coughlin and Gabe Kidd do a 10 times better job at just being these badass killers that the War Dogs are supposed to be, and it makes Finlay look super unconvincing every time he tries it. When it comes to the match, there was a variety of moves being hit throughout this match, a notable spot being the release powerbomb into the table, which set up the rest of the match, because Shingo just had to work to stay alive despite the endless assault from Finlay. This was similar to Naito, the match before him, and it honestly worked because if there's one thing that Finley is good at, it's getting the crowd to absolutely hate him and love the other guy, and this crowd was so loud for Shingo. While it wasn't the home run shot I wanted to see out of Finley, I have to give credit to him because he put in a great performance here. But to follow up what I said earlier, his ass is so getting kicked out of the War Dogs. I mean, if you saw that Rev Pro match announcement, Gabe Kidd is already getting front billing over him, so what can I even say, you know? One more thing, I know it sounds like I'm a hater when I say this, but I'm very glad that Finley lost. Not because I am a hater, but because I have a huge bias towards Eddie Kingston. So honestly, Finley, hold that fucking L, bro. That's going to do it for this video. We're nearing the end of the G1, and I just want to let you guys know that I'm still going to do these, night by night, night 13 and 14, because I think it's just a better format. And I'm really excited for those nights, honestly, because there's a lot of shit that can go down between all these blocks. So we're just going to see how it turns out. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a comment, leave a like down below. And yeah, have a great day and peace.